Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, whatever time you get a chance to see this. This is Dr. T, also known as Coach Ed. Um, Today, I am really excited about the topic I want to bring to you guys um, for a personal reason and for I really think my experience in this department, accessibility, where I get a chance to and let me just put this out. This particular video may not resonate with a lot of you, uh, but even if it doesn't, take this information, give it to a friend, give it to a family member who may have use of it. And the topic today is going to be accessibility, and you may not be familiar, maybe in high school, with that particular word, but I think that's kind of the word used in college and college campuses. But this is the department you're going to be using a lot in your child's journey on college, and this is for students who have IEPs. This is for students who have a 504. Also for students who may have some physical disability. Um, this is the department you're going to be working with. So just to get started, on a personal note, I've worked with accessibility since 2010. So I've got some time into it, and what I've learned is, to me, it has proven to be a very rewarding position for me to have. Um, on a personal note, and I know some people can say, "Well, if you haven't had proper testing or whatever, you're not this, you're not that." Over the years, I've learned that I do have a disability. I don't check that box because mine hasn't been was never diagnosed. Keep in mind, when I was in high school, and it wasn't all like it is now. It was either special ed or what we call, I guess, normal students. But what I've learned over the years is that there are, and I'm glad that there's finally resources for students who have disabilities. It could be a cognitive, it could be a physical, it could be emotional, intellectual. There could be a number of parts to this. So today I'm going to spend some time talking about students who will be going to college in the fall and already are in the system on the high school level for receiving accommodations. And these accommodations could be extended time, separate seating, preferred seating, that sort of thing. So, but still, here again, this is a very targeted and very focused and very um, direct video to parents of students who have a 504 or a IEP, so that you can know and also be prepared. In addition to what you're going to have to do to be ready to take your son, your daughter to the school of their choice. So let's get started. This is really done on now. Get ready now, and you already have a lot of this stuff, such as within when you go to your campus, and you may want to, just like the advisor, when you call the advisor to say, "Hey, my name is Sally Sue. My son will be coming to university. We want to get started in the process to find out who his academic advisor or who his success coach will be." And more than likely, do this, as I said before, do this through email. If you can get a number, why not call? But I think the better response would be through an email. But you're just trying to find out who's going to be the person to either do one or two things. Either they themselves are going to do the schedule for courses for that fall semester, or in conjunction with the student, the advisor will call the student and the parent, set up a Zoom, just introduce themselves, tell them the process, and then soon after, a schedule will be created. But as part of that, I think you also need to get the contact person who you will work with directly, uh, with the IEP, with the 504, with any physical disabilities or emotional. And I'm including that I've worked with students who had support dogs. I've had one young lady who had a support rabbit. And there's a process. It's not just declaring like you self-declare for the IEP or the 504, but you're also, you cannot arrive to a campus with a pit bull or a Rottweiler and say, I have an emotional disability and this is my emotional support animal. There's a process to go through. There's paperwork to fill out. One, you have to declare what kind of dog is it. Well, first, bring back up. There must be documentation that you have been deemed necessary. It's been deemed necessary that you have a support dog, and this information will come from a physician, medical physician, or a psychologist to let it be known. I will need this as part of my stay, and that office will have paperwork for you to fill out. Um, One, to acknowledge that the student needs this type of care, accommodation, but also there's a housing issue. In some cases, you can get a private room, and that may increase the cost of your tuition because you may need a separate room. If not, you must get approval from the roommates in most cases, that they understand that the dog or the animal would be in the same area um, with everybody. And it could be, let's say, if it's a situation where there are four in a quad, there are four students living in a living space. All three must agree to have the dog there. If they don't, then other accommodations would need to be made. And you got to understand, rightfully so, they may be allergic to the dog or their animal. So you got to take all that into consideration. So um, when you after you make the call to the advisor, get the number, get the name of the person who's over the accessibility, so you'll know who to talk to, speak with them. And as far as the same documentation you have in high school will be the same documentation they would need to see on the college campus. And what they're looking for, one, is it within the last 3 to 5 years? More than likely, if it's within the last 3 years, yes, because you've been in high school at least from the ninth grade or 10th grade, so that documentation can be seen and signed off. And the most important part is to see what kind of accommodations that uh, were given, and if the institution can reasonably offer the same type of accommodations. Ones that I've been used to have been, like I said before, extended time on tests, separate setting to take tests, extra time for homework assignments, those type things. Most universities are they understand and they work with that. And that's the majority of the students that I work with. And probably the same thing at some, but it gets larger at a larger school. It may include some other accommodation you may need to provide. But when you get go ahead and get your accommodation paperwork together, documentation of the student having these accommodations and all of the accommodations that were given in high school. Now, one keyword, I just mentioned it, reasonable. When a university brings in a student with accommodations, they may not mirror all the accommodations that they received in high school, but for the most part, I think most of them will. Where I was the ADA IEP accessibility counselor, we did pretty good. We would read the accommodations that were recommended by the physician, and I think we pretty much checked all the boxes. The most recent one has been to accommodate emotional support animals. So make sure you have your paperwork to present to the staff person. It may be an office, it may be one person, and then contact that person and find out. Just to tell you and your child a little bit about the office and what you guys can expect. Um, if there's an opportunity to go to a open house, And I know that may not be feasible for a lot of people, especially if you're going hours away from your home to go to school for your child to go to school. But yet and still, you may want to set up a Zoom. You may want to set up some type of video or virtual meeting just to meet that person, the director of that particular office, just to make sure, one, they know you're coming. And that's kind of like a soft um, self-disclosure. Now that's very, very important. Very important. Don't assume that the counselors know that your child will have the need for accommodations. Uh, I've seen it happen. Yes, they've come a part of the packet, the application. Sometimes not. One thing that I've learned that especially for uh, the students pretty much don't want nobody to know because they're going into a new environment. They think that's all in high school. That's behind me. No, it's not. I would say that you take full advantage of completely using the accommodations you've had in high school, um, just really kind of make the playing field this equal level of playing field for you. Don't go into that situation thinking I don't need the accommodations, I don't need the extra time, and then on the academic end, 2 weeks in, we're getting an early alert from a professor. Midterms, you have tanked because you didn't self-disclose and you didn't let anybody know that you had accommodations, and you were really just trying to do it all alone, so to speak. Please don't do that. If you had accommodations in high school, um, let it be known. Now, I understand this is confidential, and every university in the world will take that into account. That the information is confidential. The files are under lock and key, and if anybody knows, except for the instructors, that your child, a newly going student to college, if that word gets out, they have accommodations. It's only if the student told. Because I guarantee that the staff and the faculty will not disclose that information. I think you pretty much guarantee on that. In addition to that, I'm looking at my notes here. One thing that you want to make sure you understand when you talk to this person who is either the counselor, director of the accessibility department, have them give you what they offer, and it could be anything from not only accommodations going to the instructors, but also that information going to the advisor, because whoever your advisor is, that is the person who's going to be tracking your attendance. That's the person who's going to be tracking your grades. And at any given moment, if there's a hiccup, which I know they would want to catch that as soon as possible, they must also know when they talk to the professor or contact the professor or speak with you, one of the first questions they're going to ask, does or did you remind your professor about your accommodations? There has to be that relationship. It's a must. Yes, they received the letter. Yes, they received the communication about your accommodations. But what about that school that has almost 30,000 people? It's kind of hard for the instructor to remember Brady Brown's personal issue. I would always advise a student to remind either through email or in person, not in front of the class, but after class when the professor announces a test or an exam coming up, either send an email, go to their office, talk to them after class, and say, look, if you remember, I have accommodations of extended time, and I want to exercise that right. Then you will let the staff person at the accessibility office know that you need somehow to get the test, take the test in a separate room. They'll work that out. The professor and the director of the accessibility office, they will work that out. You just remind your professors that you need that extra time or that accommodation. In addition to, you must also um, when you're talking to that particular person, what will they offer? It could be in the way of um, uh, you also meet with your advisor, but you also have an advisor out of the accessibility office, which would be great. That way, I think you're pretty covered that way. Other resources like tutoring, other resources like a peer mentor, other resources like a writing lab, um, and sometimes you may need to go to the counseling center. There may be some things going on, and it may be nothing accommodating. I mean, nothing academic. It don't have to. It does not have to be academic. But sometimes you may have a personal issue. There may be some things going on at home, and you want to just talk to somebody, and that is fully available to you also. So one of the couple of things, just to wrap this thing up, I'm gonna come back with part two tomorrow with a little bit more in depth look at this particular issue. Is I can end this video by saying the biggest thing, communications is key. Communications is key to your success in letting the professors know, staying in constant contact with your advisor, staying in constant contact with the ADA office or the accessibility office, and let them know when a test is coming up, when an exam is coming up, when you are in need of an advisor, when you're in need of some counseling sessions. And every university will have these resources available to you. All right, guys, that's all I want to leave with you today. Uh, Please, if you felt that this was valuable to you, please hit the like button. But if this meant nothing to you, if this meant nothing to you, please go ahead and also pass it on to someone pass it along to someone in a family or a friend or a coworker who may have a child who may need accommodations and they're going to college. And I think they would really appreciate you passing this video along to kind of give us some ins and outs of this very sensitive, confidential, but very important issue in the life of a student going to college and of a parent too. All right, this is Dr. T. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you later.